Two questions regarding the financial costs of the war. Back during the Persian Gulf War, 1990-1991, Arab countries paid for the vast majority of the cost of the war. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. Who's paying for the cost of this war? Will those Arab countries step up to do just that?
Losing ground against Iran, President Trump is now looking to Arab states to help cover the soaring costs of the war, raising the prospect that Gulf allies could be asked to pay billions to keep the campaign going. A senior Trump aide has shocked Middle Eastern partners with a major declaration that Washington is open to calling on Arab countries to foot more of the Iran war bill, rattling already nervous allies. At the same time, desperate Arab governments find themselves cornered, demanding reparations from Iran for missile and drone attacks, even as they fear being dragged deeper into a conflict they cannot control. US President Donald Trump may call on Arab countries to help pay for the war on Iran as the conflict drags into its later weeks, signaling that Washington wants regional partners to share the spiraling costs. With the war grinding on into its fifth week, the White House has startled Middle Eastern allies by openly floating this idea, reviving memories of how Gulf states were asked to fund past US-led campaigns. Trump's spokesperson has said he is already considering the possibility of making Arab governments contribute financially to the Iran war effort, even though no formal request has yet been issued. Officials told members of the US Congress that the first 6 days of the Iran war cost at least $11.3 billion, according to briefings reported earlier this month. Analysts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies later estimated that the total war cost had risen to about $16.5 billion by day 12 of the conflict. Given that the war is now in its 31st day, the overall bill for US operations against Iran is believed to be far higher than those early figures suggested. Trump is also seeking at least $200 billion in additional military spending authority from Congress, citing the need to sustain operations and address new global threats. According to these reports, that money would be used both to fund the ongoing war against Iran and to replenish the Pentagon's stockpiles of precision-guided munitions and other critical weapons.
Two questions regarding the financial costs of the war. Back during the Persian Gulf War, 1990-1991, Arab countries paid for the vast majority of the cost of the war. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. Who's paying for the cost of this war? Will those Arab countries step up to do just that?
Well, I think it's something the president would be quite interested in calling them to do. I won't get ahead of him on that, but certainly it's an idea that I know that he has and something that I think you'll hear more from him on.
Interestingly, this approach fits with Trump's broader pattern on burden sharing, echoing his moves around the Ukraine war and who should pay for major conflicts. Trump has repeatedly insisted that Europe, rather than the United States, should shoulder most of the financial cost of supporting Ukraine's war effort against Russia. There is precedent for this kind of cost sharing. US allies helped fund Washington's large-scale intervention during the 1990-91 Gulf War. Back then, the United States led a broad coalition to repel Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, deploying troops and air power to push Saddam Hussein's forces out. That intervention was launched at the request of Kuwait and several of its Arab neighbors, who saw Iraq's aggression as a direct threat to regional security. Arab states and other key allies, including Germany and Japan, ultimately raised around $54 billion to help cover the financial burden of the Gulf War. The UAE has demanded reparations from Iran as the war stretches into its fifth week, casting compensation as central to any political endgame between the two sides. Officials in Abu Dhabi have framed these reparations as a political solution for aggression against Gulf states, arguing that Iran must pay for attacks and damage linked to the conflict. At the same time, the UAE has reportedly moved to seize around $530 billion in Iranian assets, including real estate, investments, and bank accounts, according to Iranian and regional media reports. The Emirati authorities have also revoked residency permits for Iranian nationals, including long-term golden visas that were tied to property ownership and high-value investment in the country. Golden visas, once marketed as renewable long-term residence linked to significant economic stakes in the Emirates, have now become a flashpoint as many Iranians see their status abruptly cancelled. Anwar Gargash, a senior diplomatic advisor to the UAE president, has said that any future peace deal must include Iranian compensation and guarantees against further aggression toward Gulf states. The diplomatic advisor to the UAE president said, quote, any political solution addressing Iranian attacks on Gulf states should include Iranian reparations for targeting vital facilities as well as civilians. The solutions should include clear guarantees to prevent a repetition of the attacks. Iran deceived its neighbors about its intentions before the war and revealed premeditated aggression despite their sincere efforts to avoid it, unquote. Tensions between Gulf nations and Iran remain extremely high, as Tehran continues to launch retaliatory strikes that keep the region on edge and leaders on constant alert. Earlier, the UAE said it had intercepted a large number of incoming threats, according to March 29 reports that underscored the scale of the confrontation. These threats allegedly included 16 ballistic missiles and 42 drones launched from Iran, highlighting how quickly the conflict has expanded into the Gulf's airspace. Meanwhile, prominent American economist Jeffrey Sachs has warned that the UAE itself could be blown up in a wider Middle East war, given how exposed it is to escalation.
Basically, Dubai and Abu Dhabi could be blown up if the UAE gets into the war. These are resort areas. These are tourist destinations. These are not fortified missile defense areas. These are places where rich people are going to party and put their money. And to enter a war zone is to defeat the entire purpose of a place like Dubai. The Emirates got itself into an absurd mess with its eyes open.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.